Welcome to the Actualize Capstone presentations. I'd like to welcome everyone watching on YouTube Live, as well as the people watching on YouTube in the future. My name is Brian Rice, and I've been helping the presenters practice the fundamentals of web development over the last 12 weeks. Each presenter picked their own idea and built their app from scratch in the last 6 weeks. Each presenter will present to a particular panelist. That panelist will ask some follow-up questions about their app and will proceed through each presenter that way. We have 15 presenters today, so we'll do 8 of them, take a short break, and then continue on with the final 7. Our 2 panelists today are Jay Wengrow and Janice Wong. Jay, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Jay, the founder of Actualize. I'm really excited to be here. As Brian mentioned, these Actualize students, now graduates, are presenting the web applications that they've made over the past number of weeks. These students have put in so much work and effort, some of them maintaining full-time jobs while they take this course. And it's really a testament to the great amount of hard work and perseverance that they put into taking this course and learning software engineering. So I'm really excited to see their projects momentarily. I wanted to thank Brian Rice, our dedicated lead instructor who taught this course and has been part of Actualize for a long time, and actually gave the very first online live cohort that we ever had, and very much an architect of the way that this program works. So thank you, Brian. I want to thank the TAs, Alex and Joey. I want to thank Lisa and the careers team, and really excited to see everything.
Thank you, Jay. And our other panelist is Janice. Janice, if you can tell us what you currently do for work and what piece of advice you would give a graduate starting their first job.
Sure. Hey guys, I am Janice. I am a software backend engineer at Spotify now, within their podcaster. They call them Missions. And I've been there for 2 months. Previously was at Namely as a software engineer for, I believe it was only maybe almost 2 years. Advice for your first job. I'd say for your first dev job, it's probably clear that you don't have much experience. And, there are, not to say that that's a bad thing, but on the upside, I feel like a lot of people appreciate more well-rounded candidates. So keeping in mind your other skill sets. So I feel like being expressive and like communicative and articulate about your thought process has really been what's helped. People love to see, devs from different backgrounds. So I guess maybe don't shy away from the experience that you do have.
Wise words. Cool. We will get into it. Our first presenter will be Austin, and his panelist will be Jay. Go ahead, Austin.
All right. Hi, I am Austin Shields, and this is Why Can't I Firmus? So first, I'm just going to quickly explain what a cantus firmus is. A cantus firmus is a musical melody built using a specific set of rules. For example, the first and last note both have to be the tonic. In this case, this example here, that would be an F. And cantus firmi are often used in music theory classrooms to help teach composition. So I want you to think back to your days as a senior in high school when you were taking AP music theory class with Mr. Steve. And, weren't those cantus firmi just so hard to write? Well, this is where Why Can't I Firmus comes in. So if you go to the generator page, You can input the number of measures. I'll leave it at 8. Input the mode. I'll just pick Aeolian. Hit generate, and voila, your homework is done for you. So the app has just procedurally generated a valid cantus firmus based on these parameters. And I can hit the play button here, and it will give me a short playback of that cantus firmus. So this is well and good. You can jot this down, turn it in for homework tomorrow, and get an A+. There is one problem, though, and that is that you haven't learned anything. You still have no idea how to compose a cantus firmus. Luckily, Why Can't I Firmus has you covered there too. If you head over to the evaluator page, you can still input the number of measures and the mode. And if you have no idea how to compose the cantus firmus, you can just hit the randomize button here, and it'll fill in all of these note inputs with random notes. I can hit the preview button, and that'll show me what those notes look like in notation. And then when you hit evaluate, it will tell you all the errors that it finds with your cantus firmus that makes it invalid. So just as an example, here it says the last note is not the tonic. And so I can see that the key is C, so the last note should be a C4. So if I hit evaluate again, now that error is gone. So you can just keep using this program like this, help to refine your compositional skills. And eventually, you might be able to take a test and pass it without cheating. So I thank you very much for your time. This has been Why Can't I Firmus?
Thank you, Austin. Jay, you can go ahead.
Well, now I can finally go back to music class. So thank you, Austin. This is a brilliant app. I have so many questions. I'll start with, how are you generating the visual display of those musical notes?
I am using a JavaScript library called VexFlow. I'm trying to remember what they're called. It makes those HTML drawings.
The canvas.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, you just input all the note information, and it has a bunch of stored visuals for each note and the measures and like the treble clef here. And it latches on to a div and then inputs all of that information inside of that div.
Got it. Very cool. So you feed it like an array of letters, and it can turn that into this.
Yeah.
Very cool. How complex was creating all those validations for the rules of what is a valid cantus firmus? How many details are involved with that?
So it ended up at first being a lot more complex than I expected, because what I discovered as I was researching was that there's actually not really an agreement on what the rules for a cantus firmus are.
Okay.
So I kind of had to go to a ton of different sources and research that, but eventually I landed on something. And the more rules I input, I kind of put them in one by one. So there's like one method for making sure that the first and last note are the tonic. And the more of those I put in, the easier it became to keep putting in new ones.
Got it. Very cool. What would you say was the most rewarding aspect of this project, building this project?
It was that moment where after spending so long creating all of those different validations and filters and stuff to generate the cantus firmus, at some point I hit the go button and it gave me a result. And I looked at it and I was like, oh wait, this one works. And that was a very satisfying moment.
That's excellent. This is, like I said, it's a brilliant app, Austin. Really, really impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Next up is Lauren, and her panelist will be Janice.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Miller. This is my capstone project, Trails and Ales, and this is inspired by some of my favorite activities, and more specifically, spent most of the winter this year during boot camp in Asheville, where several times a week I would find myself reaching for multiple different apps and trying to find a hike and then find somewhere to go on the way back, and just wishing I had it all in one place when I wanted to plan an adventure. So I made one. So I'm going to, on the landing page, scroll down. As a user, if I want to plan a hike, I'm going to log in first. And I'm going to log in as myself. And this should kick me back to the homepage. So now that I'm logged in, I can go ahead and scroll down. And I think I'm going to start searching for a trail to go explore. So this app uses the Google Maps API. The map is interactive. It's currently centered on good old Chicago, which is, of course, known for all of its hiking opportunities. And I love hiking in Washington, so I'm going to go ahead and search for a trail in Washington. And you can see it recentered on Washington. It generated some markers for trailheads, and it defaults to terrain on, because if you're hiking, you want to know where the mountains are. So you can interact with the data that it pulled back either through these markers, which will link you to the hike page, or through information down here, which shows some of the information about a hike. So Rattlesnake Ledge is one of my old favorites, so I'm going to go ahead and check that out. And you can see here some information, description, how difficult the hike is, what the territory, native land is, and you can link actually to its URL, the hiking specific page, if you want to go check it out more. And then it shows it on the map. And then specifically, I say, okay, this hike looks great. I'm going to do that, but let me find where I'm stopping on the way home. I'm going to go ahead and search for nearby breweries. I'm going to search 50 kilometers because this is quite far out of town. It defaults to 5 if you don't select anything. And it found some breweries for me. So this is some of the information about the brewery, whether or not they're open now, how far from the trailhead they are, what the rating is. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Jellyfish Brewing because that's a fun name. And I'm going to save that combination. Once I save the combination, it's going to bring me to a page where I can view everything I have bookmarked for later, so that when I'm planning a trip out there, I can go ahead and see other hikes that I was interested in, which I can go back in and check them out. And then if I wasn't logged in, that saved adventures page would not show anything. So now that I've done what I needed to do for planning my day, I can also interact with a couple of other resources. So I've featured adventures, which are like popular pairings, some links about trails, and then more information about land acknowledgement and the API I used for that. And so now I'm ready to go on an adventure, and happy trails.
Thank you, Lauren. You can go ahead, Janice.
Yeah, thanks so much, Lauren. This sounds awesome. And I feel like so many people would get so much use out of this. How was interacting with the Google API? Like, I'm assuming you had to read some documentation. And also I thought it was smart for you to like default to the terrain, I don't know, mode. I'm not sure what they call it, but yeah, how was that experience?
Yeah, it was quite difficult. It took me a long time to get through and finally get to a point where I was able to actually interact with a map in my application. So that took quite a long time. I know there's other tools out there, but I also wanted to use the Google Maps API like search feature, and eventually some of the other features that it has, like the geolocation and routing and directions. So
Gotcha.
I figured instead of using multiple different tools, I would just go ahead and use one, even though it was a little bit more work up front.
Yeah, no, I think that's a smart idea. And I think it's something, you know, as you're interviewing, it's something that you can speak to and hopefully something that people are familiar with. So I think that was a solid choice. How are you pulling in the data for like details for each, I don't know, like mountain or trail, like the elevation gain and like the distance. I'm not sure. I can't recall the other details, but is that also through Google?
It's not. It's actually just through a JSON file. So there are a couple of other APIs or websites that don't have APIs that I really was trying to find a way to use and wasn't able to. So just have gathered static data in a JSON file that I'm seeding my database with.
Gotcha. Okay, so it looks like, I forget which page it was, but it looked like you could have, or you could associate multiple breweries to one hike, or is it like a one-to-one?
So right now it's a one-to-one, saving like adventure. So like a planned day where you're going to one thing and then the other. So you could save the same hike with a different brewery.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. What was I don't know, the most like challenging part of this project for you?
I mean, the Google Maps at the beginning really was, but I think the other thing that was challenging was I've got data coming from a lot of different sources and also like a lot of different functions, calculating things or doing another fetch based on a previous fetch. And so just having all of those interact in the backend in the right order once things load, and sending the right parameters, which had to happen multiple times, even just to load one page. That took a while to figure out in the right order without things erroring. That was a challenge.
Cool. I'm assuming it was just like a matter of like continuing to test until the order was accurate. Yeah. Cool. Sweet. I think,
Awesome.
yeah, I think I'm good on questions, but that was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that.
Thank you both. Next up is Brad, and Brad's panelist will be Jay.
All right. So yeah, my name is Brad Edmonds, and welcome to Local Scene, the easiest way to find the best concerts in your city. So a little bit of background about myself before we dive in. I was the type of person in pre-pandemic times that would pretty regularly go to 1, 2, sometimes 3 or more concerts in a week. And so you can imagine at a pace like that, just having a centralized resource to find everything that was going on in town was a little difficult for me. And one of the things that made that difficult is I would oftentimes run into some more curated concert calendars or concert lists. And the problem that I would run into is when you introduce curation into the equation, you're also inviting in bias into the equation. Certain people might have preferences of certain genres versus others, or they may prefer certain venues over others, or they may be even getting paid to promote certain concerts and not others. So I really wanted to design an app that not only tracked what concerts were coming to town, but also gave a user a very quick and easy way to see what is as objective as possible the best concerts that are coming to town. So the reason why I mentioned pre-pandemic times is because obviously we are still sort of reopening and getting back to normal. So if we take a look at Birmingham, where I am, you'll see that this data is being populated with the Ticketmaster API, but there's just not a lot going on yet. There's certain venues that haven't opened up, certain artists that aren't comfortable with touring yet either. So to better demonstrate what I wanted to do with this app, I'm going to have us look at this super cool town called Concertville, if we will. And so you'll see here in Concertville, they're opening up everything back in June. And you'll see that there's all kinds of good stuff coming to this particular city. Got Taylor Swift coming to town, Jay-Z is also coming. But then you'll also have, or see some things that maybe you haven't heard of before that are going to some of the smaller venues like a dive bar with this particular band coming on June 3rd. So the point of this is it's a very quick, easy summary that's easy for a user to digest to see kind of what the highlights are, what's coming to town. But if you're somebody like me that really wants to see every single show that's coming up, I've allowed that for that functionality so you can see a full listing here. And so there's obviously a lot more data here. And you may be asking yourself, well, why is there so much more data here? You might be really in the mood for a 90s throwback with some Third Eye Blind, I know I am, but that didn't show up on that sort of summary page. And so what's happening behind the curtains here is that I'm segmenting the data by the size or the capacity of the venue. And then I'm only showing people what in the summary view, what's showing up based on the Spotify listeners actually. So what people are seeing in terms of what is the best that's coming to town isn't what I'm telling the users the best. It's what the hive mind is sort of saying, what the community of Spotify listeners are saying is these are the ones that are important. These are the ones that you should be paying attention to. So yeah, that is my app. Thanks for reviewing it. Want to turn it over to Jay for questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is awesome, Brad, and I can't wait to until we get quickly back to hopefully these times where we can go to these events. But in the meantime, I guess I'm going to head out to Concertville. So just break it down for me. You said you were using Ticketmaster for some of the data, and I guess this Concertville is fake data. Is that what's going on?
Correct. Yeah. So the logic behind what's being displayed on this summary view versus that full listing was what I really wanted to demonstrate. So yeah, this is all just fake data just to show that logic.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Spotify. So are you getting data from Spotify?
Yeah, so that was one of the things I sort of ran out of time with. So all the Spotify information was hard-coded. And then if I would have had a little bit more time interacting with Janice with their Spotify API to try to get that listener to populate dynamically.
Yeah, definitely get with Janice on this. That's really funny. What other feature would you also build next if you had more time?
Yeah, I think definitely working with the Spotify API was something that I really wanted to do. And obviously it's something that I can continue to do post bootcamp, which I'm really excited about. Because the vision that I had was, part of this is just seeing things that you maybe had never heard of, sort of a discovery sort of practice. So being able to use the Spotify API to have maybe a playlist by city of what's coming to the town would have been something that would be really cool and something that I'm hopefully going to be able to play around with after bootcamp.
Awesome. This is really great and useful. So thanks for showing it, Brad. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Next up is Ben, and your panelist will be Janice.
Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. Great. Thank you all for coming. My name is Ben Pratt, and my web application is called Clink Clink. Prior to programming, a bulk of my professional experience was as a wine director and sommelier. So I know way too much about wine and worked way too much with it. But I wanted to build something for people who don't know as much to make the wine experience a little more fun. So if you prefer dark mode, you can do the dark mode. We're going to stay with regular today. So I'm going to log in as I would. And once you log in, you'll be taken to your user dashboard. Oops, don't want to show that. So once you're at your user dashboard, this is kind of where everything happens. I wanted to give people an opportunity to be able to track the wine that they did taste. And so with this form, you'll add a new wine. So I'll go ahead and do that right here. I'll talk about future iterations later, but basic information about the wine, it's located. And then for smell, I think that's another thing that people sometimes struggle with. So being able to have a drop down of all of the different scents that you may smell in the wine. I think a lot of times that trips people up. So you find something on the list, or you can add something of your own. So the taste, it was bright. It had light body, fantastic. And then I'm a big proponent of shopping local. And so, being able to trust your local wine shop, ask for suggestions. These people are here to help you. So where did I buy this? I bought this at Noble Riot, one of my favorite places. And I thought this was a 4-star wine. So I'm going to add this to my collection. And then I'll get a card where it shows all of these things that I just entered in. So I have all of these. Once I collect more, I'll start to see these on my dashboard. Another thing that I thought would be fun for people or that they have trouble doing is what to pair with what they're drinking. And so with this pairing finder, you can search by ingredient categories such as meat, vegetable, dessert, by ingredient name such as lamb, cremini, mushrooms, or even subtypes such as fresh herbs. So I'm gonna type in beef, and then it's gonna pull up everything that pairs well with beef. And you'll see that medium red is the wine style. So you can further pair down by different wine styles and whether it's a match or not. All of these are good matches, but is it a perfect pairing? No, there's no such thing as a perfect pairing, but by and large, there are some pairings that just go really well together. Another thing that I think will be helpful for people is the preparation. And so being able to search by preparing, I'm grilling tonight. So I can see that if I type in beef, medium red, and grilled, it's going to give me all of the possibilities that I have. And then I can search through and find the best pairing. So I'll do beef, I'm going to grill it and have medium red. Well, how do I know about all of these wines? This is where you can check out your wines database. So this is going to take you to all of your red wine grapes. You can click on the card and it'll give it the pronunciation and then different characteristics about the wine. I wanted to have some tool tips to further describe more so about these terms and what they mean, but c'est la vie. So you can do the same with the whites as well. And really, that is it for Clink Clink. So thank you very much. Whoa.
Thank you, Ben. You can go ahead, Janice.
Yeah, no, nice job, and this is awesome. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and I appreciate your associated Zoom backgrounds. Nice touch there.
I have this too, but I couldn't get it to play, so I'm just gonna play it really quick. So it talks about the wins and challenges really quick. I'm really big into testing, and so I was able to implement some testing, and it was the first time using Jest or Cypress. And I also used Vuetify, whereas traditionally I just written HTML and CSS. So this was a new experience for me. And because I did have to build all of my data myself, I found that I was proud of all of the many-to-many associations I had to keep track of. But that was one of the challenges, just managing so much data on the back end and then integrating these different frameworks into Vue. Here are the technologies that I used. Sorry, y'all. But Vue and Rails on the back end. And here was my testing framework. So I tested the back end with RSpec and then Jest and Cypress. And then here's Vuetify for future iterations. I'd like to make this PWA functional so people can take a picture of the wine that they taste on their phone. Being able to add more data about the grapes, but in a graphically pleasing way. So chart.js, adding a recipes API, so you can find actual recipes to pair. And I tried working with the Google API for places to find local wine shops. But with everything that I was trying to do, I just found that too much. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. I feel like with these projects, I feel like there's always something more you want to do with it, but I think it's fine to mention, like if I had more time, this is what I would like to do, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that was awesome. I'm assuming, I'm not sure if or maybe I shouldn't make this assumption, but it reminds me of Vivino. So I'm guessing there might have been some influence there. What, I guess, like, what more would you like to do with it? Like, I don't know, further functionality, though. I know you just called some out in that slide you were showing.
I think something else I asked my other wine friends when I was trying to wireframe this project, like what problems could we solve? And another bit of functionality is people get in a rut of wines that they like to drink. Like, I like this one Chardonnay and that's all I'm going to drink. And that's great, but there's so much good wine out there that I'm having a sort of like, I'm used to drinking this, but give me something else that I might like based on these sort of like preferences. That, and then just really being able to integrate, like being able to buy these bottles locally. So I think that's where all the magic is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's solid. I feel like I could envision, I don't know if you ever intended for there to be some kind of like social component, but like maybe like having a share, you're nodding, so yes. Yeah, I could see people wanting to use a tool like that. So yeah, I don't think I have too much, but that was awesome. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Next up is Adam, and your panelist will be Jay.
Okay, everybody. Hi, my name is Adam Wilson, and this is Blurbzilla. So this was inspired by a site called FatPeta that I used to browse at a previous job that I worked. I was constantly on the phones. I had to focus pretty heavily, but FatPeta is pretty much just a random database of funny pictures you can just click on to generate another. So it was just kind of a great way for me to have fun and laugh a little while not being too distracted. But for my app, I wanted to create something similar, but more interactive for the user to express a little bit of their weird and creative side. So I made a database of fake facts about different locations that could seem real at first glance, but are completely and utterly false and ridiculous. So basically just to troll people until they catch on. But this one here, this is Pennsylvania. The beloved state animal of PA, the capybara, is well known for its mild, friendly demeanor and generous contributions to various charities. So I don't know what the state animal of Pennsylvania is, but I guarantee it's not this thing. But people might not know that if they don't know Pennsylvania too well. So, yeah, these randomize every time the page is refreshed or when the user hits the boot button up here, which is just another way for the user to refresh the page. But yeah, if you do that, randomizes another. So this one's a fact about Texas. In 2006, Texarkana's own C. Lotso Biscuits entered the Book of World Records as the heaviest horse in recorded history. He came in an astonishing 8,000 pounds, equivalent to 25,000 biscuits. I don't know if that equals 8,000 pounds, but I imagine it's close. But yeah, so they can also submit, like users can also submit their own blurbs, which will add to the pool and kind of randomize with the rest of the database. So here, if I type in, let's go everywhere. And the fact will be Lauren Miller has already been here. And then you submit that to the database. So the basically it'll again randomize with the rest of the pool. So I can kind of find that here. Sorry, there's other random ones. Here we go. So yeah, it came up. So the app automatically assigns a default like no internet dinosaur image, just as a nod to our cohort's unofficial mascot. So yeah, so that's pretty much the app so far. Basically, I'll be adding like features exclusive to users who sign up and create a login. So they'll be able to like submit their own images along with their own blurbs. So there'll be like a dashboard for those users to like, share, comment, on their favorite blurbs for just a little bit more interactivity. So I did set up like the sign up and log in and everything like that. So it's functioning. It just doesn't really serve a purpose at this point. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting that going. But yeah, that's Blurbzilla.
Thank you, Adam. You can go ahead, Jay.
You had me at the capybara as soon as I saw that, Adam. This is a really fun app. What would you say you had more fun doing in this app, or maybe in general? Would you say the front end or the back end?
I really enjoyed the back end, just kind of building the structure. I don't know if like people noticed, but as I was writing these, I was just laughing hysterically to myself. So I think Joey saw me once and kind of like pointed it out. But yeah, I really enjoyed the back end. I really enjoyed making the database. The front end, I just kind of wanted it to be simple and straightforward, nothing like too fancy. I tried like different gradients and things like that, and it just looked really tacky. So I kind of settled on what I have here, and I kind of like the way it looks.
Got it. Is there anything that like surprised you about the process of building this project as you went along doing so?
Everything. I really felt like I was learning as I went along, which was really cool because I really felt like I guess because throughout the class we're learning individual things, and just finally like piecing everything together and realizing the amount that I learned was a blast.
Got it. Excellent. Adam, this is a really nice and fun app, and can't wait till it's live so I can use it. The facts are really funny, so kudos in coming up with those. Yeah, fantastic job, Adam. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Up next is Eric, and his panelist will be Janice.
All right, hey guys, my name is Eric, and I'm a huge fitness fanatic. So I wanted to create a fitness app that helps you work out tailored to your body physique. There are overwhelming workout programs available, so sometimes I get discouraged and didn't feel that it was very efficient. Have you ever looked at a really fit person and asked yourself, wow, what kind of workout did they do to get that ripped? Or wow, like how do I look like that? Well, SoulSquad has a solution to that. So first we'll log in. Let me just sign up really quick. I like Arnold. All right. So what's unique about SoulSquad is that you get to choose a trainer that you can relate to. If you have a slender body type, I'm sure your goal is not to be beefed up like a bodybuilder. You want someone who you can relate to. So for Arnold, he's new to working out, so this is unattainable for him. Maybe he can relate to someone like this handsome gentleman here. So we'll be reaching out to Eric. So SoulSquad provides workout for each muscle group. Like I said earlier, everyone has a unique body type, and we have different muscle composition. Just because John built 200 pounds of muscle doing push-ups doesn't mean you get the same result. You want to work out what's right for you. That's why you chose the right trainer that has your body type. So Arnold would like to work out his biceps. Let's do some hammer curls. Let's hit some chest. I'm feeling some dumbbell presses. Why don't we add some abs on top of that? So once you select your exercise from the muscle group, you get to go do your workouts. And in 2021, no one likes to read. So these will be in videos once you click them. You get to see the workout the trainer personally hammer curls. You're going to work out your forearm and your side bicep. Do at least 10 on each side. And then that's how you do hammer curls. You want to go to dumbbell press. It'll show you how to do a chest workout doing dumbbell press. Exercise. It really isolates your chest. So you can see what each trainer does differently than the generic workout available. So you don't have to follow, oh, everyone needs to bench. You already have a good chest, so you shouldn't be benching. You want to focus somewhere else. So that's why you choose a trainer that you want to look like. That is it for what I had for today. But in the future, I do want to add a dashboard for a user to track of your workouts and maybe add a meal prep. So dieting is just as important as working out. And maybe add like rating trainers that I have to think about it because it might hurt the trainers in the future. Also, what I did want to add is the reason why I added the location is because in the future, people might want to reach out to them. Let's say you're in Chicago, you want to sync up with them individually to meet up, get personal training by them. So I do want to add a search part to search by location. So if you like someone from your area, you can reach out to them personally and go from there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Eric. Janice, go for it.
Sweet. Thanks so much for sharing that. This is awesome. I love fitness myself, and one of my favorite fitness instructor has just like a terrible website. So I feel like she could really benefit from something like this. Are the links to the videos hard-coded, I'm assuming, in your code base?
Yeah, they're hard-coded.
Got it.
So all the
cool.
database are, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, so I was going to say all the database are hard. I created all the database because I couldn't really find the API that I was looking for. And if I did find it, it goes back to saying, no, you're going to find the generic workout. That kind of defeats the purpose of making this ad.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like, I'm not sure if you'll go this route with your app, but I feel like I could foresee trainers using this to kind of showcase their own, their own little videos, like for their own website. So that would, I'd love to see that happen at some point, if at all. I guess I'm always interested in what the most challenging problem was working through this project. I feel like it's a very popular interview question too. So
yeah, of course.
Just curious.
I had two biggest challenges. The first one was finding the right API. I had to shift my idea a little because I couldn't find the API that I wanted. That's why I chose to use myself as the data, which it turned out better, I think, in my opinion. I think it'll open up for more opportunities in the future, adding more trainers in. I guess this is my first semi-big project, so I didn't plan properly. I started coding before I planned, so I made it way more complicated than it needed to be. I made some associations mistakes, so I couldn't find out where I made an issue. So that was a great lesson learned, and something that I should avoid doing it in the future.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing that you experienced it, because I feel like, I don't know, it might sound corny, but with like every struggle that you have, it's like a conversation piece, people always want to know what you've learned. So I think that was probably a good struggle to have. Sweet. Looking forward to seeing this pan out if you continue to work on this.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Next up is Charlotte, and her panelist will be Jay.
Hey guys, welcome to Rails Forum. So I created this because one, I used forums a lot at a young age, and I'm familiar with how they work, and I wanted to replicate that and actualize it, no pun intended. And I also think there could be a more centralized place for information about Rails, because usually when you search up a problem or like just the topic you want to learn more about, usually the documentation is like the fourth result, or like just usually not the most relevant thing on the search engine. And then of course it's Stack Overflow. So yeah, I created this place to centralize Rails information, and yeah, let's see how it works. So of course you got your sign up. Let's do this. And as you can see here, it automatically logs you in, so you don't have to log yourself in after you create your account. This is a feature I was excited to implement because I've seen it on a lot of other sites, and I think it's pretty efficient and saves time. So here we have your create post form. Title can be whatever you want it to be, and body can be like, oh, I'm having a Rails issue, and then you submit, and the post appears on the index page. Now, this isn't finished. I was going to put in replying, profile viewing. This number is supposed to represent the user ID. I didn't figure out how to turn that into an actual username. But yeah, there's also supposed to be categories and boards. Category would be like the Ruby programming language, and a board would be part of the category, like Rails. So you could post about Rails. This post would go on the Rails board. And I still haven't implemented post showing yet, unfortunately. But yeah, that's basically what I have so far. And pretty glad it's as solid as it is right now.
Thank you, Charlotte. You can go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, nice, Charlotte. This is a great idea. I guess tell me more how, like, your plan of like centralizing the Rails issues, like how would you avoid like having sort of like irrelevant results appear like even within these posts?
Oh boy, let's see. I think there would be a search engine built into the site. That was definitely one of the nice to haves that I was planning on doing if I had got to that point before it was time to present, where you can like search very specifically, like your normal query, and then like you can have a bunch of checkboxes where like it could be types of posts like bug, feature, discussion, I don't know.
So you can really filter it like a lot more than you could with just the regular search engine, you're saying, by having all those filters.
Yeah, and of course would also include like keywords and the search metadata of the site, like so that it shows up to be a more relevant result.
So I'm assuming that you're, given that it's a Rails-based project, that you're using Rails on the back end. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm using Rails on the back end and Vue.js as the front end.
Got it. What was it like to sort of connect the two? I mean, you're having Vue.js call a Rails API. What was it like to connect the front end to the back end?
Well, in the past, before this boot camp, I've only had experience with full stack Rails with using HTML templating. So this was definitely a new experience, and it was pretty fun to see how they connect, because I've always wanted to use a dynamic web app where like the content loads dynamically like this instead of refreshing.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see that put into action.
Yeah. I mean, it's very clean, and I can definitely see the vision for this, and definitely want to see where you go with it in the future. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Next up is George, and George, your panelist will be Janice.
Hey, everyone. My name is George, and I created an app called Streamit. The app was an idea that came to me when I was struggling to find something to watch with my wife. Say you have like 2 hours and you can't find something to watch, and you spend half the time that you have trying to find something, and then you don't have the time to watch a movie anymore. So I tried to implement an app that would kind of do the thinking for you based on what you felt like watching. So you can decide, say you wanted to watch by a certain year, you could search for a movie doing that. Or you could say you want to watch something that's more for adults, or say you want to watch something that's more for kids, then you can search for a particular rating. If you only have a set amount of time, you can search that way. Either you want to watch a movie, maybe you want to watch a show, maybe you want to start binging a series, totally up to you. You can also search directly to get a result that is a movie or a TV series. You can search by your native language or a foreign language if that's something that you're interested in. And I also implemented a feature where you could search on a particular network if that was something that you wanted to watch. Say you don't really care and you're searching endlessly on Netflix and you want to watch something, you can just pop that in and search for a movie. Or say you're in the mood to watch something, I don't know, scary, funny, you can add a parameter for a genre and search for a movie that way. So let's say that you want to watch a comedy, you press this button and you get a result. We have the image that comes with the movie, a little bit about it, when it came out. Say you have 90 minutes. Oh, that's great. Here's a bit more about it. Oh, it's on Hulu. Well, if you have Hulu, you can click this link and you would get the result and be able to watch the movie. You might have to sign in if you're not already signed in, but as it loads, it'll bring the movie up and you're ready to go and start watching. When you come home, kind of eliminates that headache of having to search for a movie. Another feature I implemented, say the converse of that is you have a very specific movie that you want to watch and you want to see if it's on a streaming network. You can go over here. And since we're all coders now, maybe we want to watch Matrix. I don't know. You can search for that. Oh, okay, The Matrix, that's cool. A little bit about it. Yeah, I guess I have, some time to watch this long movie. Oh, it's on HBO Max. Great. Why don't we go see if we can watch it? Same deal. It'll open up on the parent app of wherever the movie is. You'll just sign in. And then you're ready to watch the movie. And that is my app, Streamit.
Thank you, George. You can go ahead, Janice.
Yeah, this is so cool. This I feel like this solves a lot of problems for me because everybody is watching or is like binging everything these days.
Totally.
And I am always Googling to see what movies are on what streaming network. So this is awesome. What happens if a movie is on multiple streaming platforms? Does it just show one option or?
Yeah, as of right now, basically the API I used, all of the movies were on it was kind of like a rights battle. So like sometimes if it was on like a TV network, I specifically like focused on streaming networks, but say like it was on a cable network basically this is only specific for streaming, but it came down to like a rights and getting the properties and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha, that makes sense. What I'm curious, what API are you using to get this information?
I'm using the watch mode API.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they have a lot of information about movies and then different networks and that kind of stuff.
Nice. Is that what powers, I think when you click watch from your app, it brings you to some like authentication page and like takes you to the movie directly? Are you using the API for that, or is it just like a link?
So I use the API to get the movie information, and then I hand seeded in the specific links to the movies. So
got it.
Right to their page.
Sweet. Let's see. Yeah. What was the most like challenging, or probably on the other hand rewarding like challenge that you faced?
Definitely getting everything to kind of sync up, since I had the networks and the genres in separate tables. Getting them to all work friendly with each other was quite the battle. So, I mean, Brian can attest to the many questions I had, and the amount of commented out data I have in my controller is pretty wild. But
Gotcha.
I learned so much about Rails console, which was really cool, figuring out the logic and utilizing that, which is also something that we've been told from day one. So
yeah, it's definitely helpful. That's awesome. Are you like, I'm assuming you're storing these like networks and genres in your DB, or is that also being pulled from?
Yeah, so they're just in separate models in my database as well.
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, this is awesome. I hope you get to like shoot this out so people can use it.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, nice. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you both. So we have hit our intermission. We'll take a 15-minute break from now until 8:45 Eastern. Come back with the remaining presenters at that time. Thanks for coming, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, welcome back, people. So we're going to continue on with the presentations. Janice was a panelist for the first half, and Mark will be her replacement for the second session. Mark, if you want to introduce yourself, talk a little bit about what you do day to day, and one piece of advice you would give to a student starting their first job.
Yeah, so I went through Actualize last summer. Since February, I've been working for a company that provides websites for car dealerships. So I'm a full stack developer with them, working with PHP and JavaScript, a really old version of Angular, which is hard to find info on sometimes. Yeah, let's see, piece of advice. I mean, imposter syndrome is real, so don't feel like you're on an island when you're feeling that. I mean, just know that if you keep plugging away, you'll get validation that sometimes things that are driving you crazy, they actually drive the senior devs crazy too. So.
Cool. Thank you, Mark. First up for the second session will be James, and your panelist will be Mark.
Hey, Mark. I will be your first imposter, so we'll see how this goes. This is my app D&D Aid. I've actually had this app in mind since the beginning of the course. I've got a friend who really likes board games. In particular, he seems to like really dense board games, lots of information, a lot of rules, text, numbers, stuff like that. And I can nerd with the best of them, I think, a lot of the time, but I need to know, why are we doing this, right? So if I have 16 strength, what can I do with that? If I come from the mountains, who cares? What does that mean for me? So I wanted to try to make an app that, at least for someone like me, would kind of give some implications of, I think, was a very rich opportunity to tell stories through Dungeons and Dragons, but also because I'd love to get at least like a day, maybe two, with my fiance playing. She will not play board games, and she does not want to do math after 5 p.m. So what I thought is, why don't I try to throw something together that takes all of this dense information, layers of numbers, layers of text, and actually presents that to the user in a way that they can actually use that to then get about the business of telling a Dungeons and Dragons story. So we'll pretend for the moment that, like, I have convinced Jessica to at least sign up for this app. So she'll go to users and she'll join. It's Saturday morning, it's 9 a.m. She's had coffee and she has 5 minutes of patience for me. So she's going to put in all of her information. She's going to put, well, that's not the best email, but we assume that she's giving this a good faith effort. Do they match? Do they match? Oh no, the validations are working. Okay, great. Now let's see. Fantastic, she can log in. Okay, so. And we'll see if she remembers her password. She's asking me, why are we doing this? I'm saying, because think of the characters, think of the stories. Great, she's got a profile. She's gonna go and make a character. I said, I will give you at least 2 days of Downton Abbey watching. She says, that's not enough. Okay, that's fine for a character. It's saved. Let's make sure. okay, she's got a character. It's not a well fleshed out character. So I say, honey, why don't you go and check out, maybe there's some information like races. You could be someone other than you, though you are special, right? You could be a dragon. No, but okay, fine. Or maybe you want to figure out like a class. You could be a barbarian. She doesn't care. She's not interested at all. Next thing she does, she uses her profile, thinks about it for 2 seconds. All right, okay, that's fine. So I'll try to sell you now on something a little bit better. I'll log in. Fantastic. Okay, I need to update this really quick. That's not my name. I apologize. I should have set that up. That's also very good. It's an admin level. I should make it more complicated. Okay, good. So here are my characters. We've got some to choose from now, a little bit better than Jessica's. It was a first stab from her. Cthulhu Von Spider-Man is a personal favorite, but for now, we're going to go with something I feel more comfortable with. I'm not like a high fantasy kind of guy. I'm more of a Star Wars guy, if you can tell. So we've got information. That's great. That's where we're at this point in this app. We have things like strength. We have things like alignment. But again, what do we do with that, right? I'm still trying to figure out how to get that information into the boxes, into the form that I want. So I've got like a semi-demo here, right? If you're not familiar, this is a basic Dungeons and Dragons sheet. It's nice. You can kind of see like eventually we can make some nice little windows that kind of resize based on the overall browser and whatever. We've got saving throws. That feels like a verb that we could actually do something with, but it's still a lot of boxes, a lot of abstract stuff. Go up here. This is supposedly for someone who's dyslexic. I think it's just for everybody. I know what a heart is. I know when this feels better. So this is where the app's going. Eventually, there's going to be some other stuff in here too. Maybe you can like join a campaign, or you could even create a party where different users get to see what they've got as they go through the journey of telling a story. For now, what I'll do is I'll just log out, Mark, and I will give you the floor. Thanks for looking at D&D Day.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you, James.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, nice. It looks a good start here, for sure. What for like the characters and the different types of races is that from just in your database, or did you pull out from an API?
So it's from an API, external API that's got all that information. The problem is I need to still do more decomposition about what does it matter if you're a dwarf, what does that do for you? And how do I display that to you in a way that's like understandable? But yeah, it's an external API.
Nice. Does that API have some of that information in it as well? Or
It does, but like, what does it mean? So like your weapon range, okay, great, right? The fact that you have night vision, cool, that's good. It's got text entries. There might be some interesting parsing to do with that.
Nice, yeah. Cool. What's like the first next step you'd kind of think to tackle?
Well, as long as the CSS doesn't break again, having the information displayed, something more like a character sheet. So at least it feels familiar. I think it's really important to build UIs that build on previous user experience. Some people that use this are gonna, be familiar with a character sheet, and they're gonna know what to do with that information. So getting something that isn't just 2 columns of, text, that's probably the next thing.
Cool. Yeah, what's like one part you're like most proud of that you figured out for this?
I am proud that my background is not covering all of the buttons, which as of 2 days ago it was. I like that it solves a problem that I have. It was a really good experience to take something that was meaningful to me, slap stuff together, hit it with hammers, see if it works. Figure out what doesn't work, and then the whole time have kind of a design document in mind, and to be working towards that in stages. It was also really fun to kind of reprioritize constantly, to do sprints towards something and sprints towards something else, and when necessary, triage.
Yeah, cool. Nice work.
Thank you, James and Mark. Next up is Caitlin. Caitlin, your panelist will be Jay.
Okay. Hi. So my name is Caitlin Murphy, and this is my app, Bulb. So throughout the pandemic, I got really into gardening. I think that I was not the only one, as a way to brighten up my space, as a way to get out of the house. And I had a lot of questions. And so I wanted to set out to make a resource that I would have wanted as a baby gardener, wondering, what is the best plant for this space? So we will get started. I will be playing myself tonight. Great. So Bulb has a My Garden feature. This is for if you're like me and you go to the plant store and you buy a bunch of plants and then immediately forget their names. So nothing is saved here, so we're going to go to the search feature.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Caitlin. I think you might be on a different screen. Her screen is the same, or am I wrong? I'm wrong. Okay, I'll shush. Sorry, Caitlin, go ahead.
Okay. Can everyone see what should I plant here? Cool. Okay. So this is a question that I asked myself a lot when I was first starting out, because you want to work with nature, not against it. I made that mistake a lot. And there's also a lot of information that goes into answering this question. There's a lot of terms. So we have a glossary here. So something that was really important to me was trying to make this process as accessible as possible. So each of these search terms has a definition as well as an explanation for how to find that information out. So now that we're all experts on these terms, we'll head back to our search.
Caitlin, I feel terrible. I'm getting information that other people can also not see. Like I can see your screen is just stuck on localhost 8080, just the home page. Maybe
let me try
unshare and reshare.
Is this better?
It looks the same to me.
Okay, weird. Anything?
Now it's sort of like loading, which is seemingly going in the right direction. We'll give it a minute. Sorry to interrupt you twice in 1 minute.
That's okay. I want, people to be able to see it.
It's a good point. We'll let this roll for a minute and then we can go to the next person and come back. I suspect this will get fixed, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let me know. Anything going on?
Not as of yet.
Does it give you multiple options of what you can share when you choose share screen?
Yes, but I've tried both of them. Let me try the other one again.
Hate to jump in, Caitlin. It might be your sharing's paused.
No, it's showing as.
Little did the audience know they would get to see a live debugging session.
Let me try something else. Is that working?
Not yet. Oh, here we go.
We got something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And I can see your mouse moving, which is exciting.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you guys for your patience. Okay. So back at it. We're ready to search. We're experts on all the terms of plants. So if you have a space in mind, you can think, I live in a pretty wet area. I don't need it to have a drought tolerance that's very high, but it's pretty sunny, so it needs to be shade intolerant. And as you can see, this is changing as you add more information to it. And I want flowers because I just like flowers. So you can look, these are the plants that fit your different terms. Thrift sea pink sounds cute. Let's check that out. So this leads you to a page that gives you more information about what this plant needs to flourish. There's a lot here. All of these terms are also explained in the glossary. So you can say purple flowers, say no more. This is the plant that I want, and you can add it to your garden. And there it is. And then say you have planted it, you can go ahead and update that. I planted it on May 5th. We'll update. And there it's updated. So we'll head back to the search. The second way that you can search is by state. You can see what grows locally around you. So I live in Louisiana. And here are the plants that grow in Louisiana. You can also narrow it down further and say native. So these are the plants that are native to Louisiana. If you are not sure what native plants means or why it matters, you can head to this link here, which has some more information about that. Here you can learn that native plants are actually better suited to the area that you are in. They are actually easier for the beginner gardener. And you can check out some further reading. You can join your local native plant society, or you can head on back and keep searching. And that is Bulb. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Caitlin. Jay, you can go ahead.
Caitlin, I have so many questions, but firstly, this is a beautiful app. Tell me about designing it. Is this a theme, or it looks amazing?
Thank you. It's a theme that I fiddled with a lot. I got really weeds of the aesthetics of it.
Got it. What was that process like? Do you have like a design background, or just really good at this, or what? Tell me about that process.
No, I don't have a design background. And actually, if you'd asked me a week ago, I probably would have said I liked the back end more, but I had a lot of fun with the front end of it.
Well, it looks great, and it really lends itself to the actual topic. So, my next question is about all the plants data. Did you have to feed that data? Where is that data coming from?
So it's coming from the USDA has a plants database that has a ton of information on it. So I pulled it from that.
Okay. Did you like seed your database from that data, from like a CSV file or something?
Yeah, exactly. From a CSV file.
Okay. Very cool. And that's where like it also narrows it down by state. Like, is that where the state information comes to?
Mm-hmm. That one took a little tweaking. It was in a different format than was helpful to me. So that one took a little bit of work to make that work.
Got it. This is really cool. Do you mind scrolling? Do you go back to the page? I guess go back to the previous page for a second.
The search page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're using like how do you get the dynamic filtering? Like as soon as you're changing the information, changing the filters, like that it automatically updates like that.
Let me scroll back up. So this is the 1,500 plants from the plant database here. So I used a library called View 2 filters, and then it's a bunch of nested filters, which so
it does it in real time.
Yeah, so it does it all together.
Awesome. Well, what was the most rewarding / challenging feature that you had involved with this?
I think probably those nested filters. It was something that the whole app kind of hinged on, the whole idea of it, being able to search by the characteristics of your area. So when it like finally was working, it just felt really like $1 million.
Got it. Well, this is like an amazing idea and a beautiful implementation. So really nice job, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Next up is Matt. Matt, your panelist will be Mark.
Hey y'all, name's Matt, and my app is a text-based dungeon crawler called The Forgotten Forest, and tribute to the browser MMO games I grew up playing. So as we can see, we have a username, which is set to Excalibur. So let's start a new game. And you can see the narrative box is, you awaken out of a deep slumber under an old creaky oak tree in a dense forest. You remember that your name is Excalibur, which is good to know. It is dark and the air feels cool. Up ahead, you hear the crunch of branches under footsteps getting closer and closer. So here we can move forward, and under that we have a user stats panel, which shows our current HP and base damage, and the amount of monsters defeated, which I'll get to next. So let's move forward. Must have been an illusion. There's nothing to see here. Carry on, weary soul. Which is reasonable for being in a dense forest and not remembering your name. So, it looks like we've encountered Malice, the one without a cool title. And he's this zombie skeleton guy with an axe. He says, I'm not like other text RPG enemies. I care about your feelings. What's your astrology sign? Well, it's a little strange considering he's holding an axe and staring at me menacingly, but we could see that he has a monster HP of 20, and I can either attack him or run. But I'm going to choose to attack. So we can attack, and it looks like I've dealt 6 damage, and he's dealt 8 damage back and affected my HP. So let's keep attacking. Oh, looks like I vanquished him and found a rusted bike. How peculiar. I'm going to add that to my inventory. And now I'll go check out my loot. There it is. It's my rusted bike that I probably can't do anything with. But let's go back to the game and keep moving forward. It looks like there's no monsters around here. So we'll keep traveling through the forest, and Malice of the Darkness, this must be his brother. And he says, I'm very spooky and evil. So let's fight him. And another rusted bike. How interesting. Well, I already have a rusted bike, so I'll just keep moving forward. And I guess he could care less about killing me, but we'll fight him anyway. And right, so 3 monsters in, we'll keep attacking and moving forward to the next room. So Mulgrim the Wise wants to RMRF my root directory, which I don't think is very kind. So I'm going to run away. And it looks like I've escaped in this instance. And now we've encountered, I can't pronounce this name. This is a dynamic user generated name. So we'll attack and keep moving forward. And it looks like I've defeated 5 monsters. And now the narrative is you have vanquished 5 monsters too many. You grow weary from the metaphorically countless battles, or the battles counted by user.monsters defeated in your active record model, tisk tisk. You lay down your invisible weapon that I never coded in and begin to sleep. So let's move forward. But it looks like we're being awakened by Tonilia, the big bad boss. And he's taunting me, saying I look very menacing behind the keyboard. So let's continue on with the battle. And looks like I have defeated him. So we'll catch our breath and take a look around. And now it looks as if the boss vanishes into the mist and a clearing opens up, and we make our way out of the forest to safety. So my app is a text RPG. There are a lot of features that I wanted to implement, like a dynamic character creation, different sprites, better loot system, stuff like that. And thank you for viewing my app.
Thank you, Matt. Mark, you can go ahead.
Yeah, nice. That's looks like it's a fun game. It's a great start to this too. Tell me more about kind of where the info for the people, the monsters you battle comes from. Is that stuff you? Yeah.
So the naming conventions were actually from Faker, Lord of the Rings, and all the catchphrases and stuff are just an array of strings that I wrote in. I'm a fan of like fantasy. I once partook in like a 30-person cyberpunk LARP where we each contributed some part of the narrative to like make this big conglomerate story. So I like writing stuff, and yeah, just like this is kind of like an inspiration of games that I've played before that are always like kind of growing with user input and things like that.
Yeah, nice. So it just kind of pulls from one of those names kind of at random, or is it
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically it's like a random generator, and each time you each time a monster is created, it assigns a random name, random phrase, random string.
Nice. Can you lose the game? Can you be defeated?
Yeah, you
before
can
reach
lose the
end?
game, and yes, if you lose the game, I can do go to lost game. So it's all right. We didn't expect you to win anyways. This game is literally a dice roll.
Nice.
So now you can try again. It congratulates you on losing, which is, it's kind of throwing shade, but
Nice. Well, what was the most challenging part of setting up the app?
I think the most challenging part was one of the most challenging parts was like the initialization of everything. I felt really overwhelmed with things that I wanted to do, but I had to take a step back and be like, okay, like realistically, what can I do right now? And like, what can I improve on and like try to contribute to later? But I think the associations were really hard, but once I figured out like, okay, I'll have the monster belong to the room that gets generated, and then the loot can come after the monster is defeated to kind of give it like a meaning.
Nice. Cool. What's like what's like the next thing you'd add?
The next thing I would add is probably character creation and like maybe your own sprite customization. So if we were to do Matt again, yes, under here maybe like, well, in the homepage maybe like you can create your own character, and then beep beep boop, you could see your character over here like walk in. He's got like a class, maybe he's like a knight or a mage, something like that.
Cool. Yeah, nice job.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next up is Micah. Your panelist will be Jay.
Cool. Hello, I'm Micah, and this is the Cleaning Place, the app that cleans for you. Well, not exactly. It does help you clean by giving you tips and tricks to clean better. The motivation came from my own experience of spending so much time, energy cleaning something only to find out there is a better and faster way to do it. Or even worse, cleaning something and then finding out that you damaged it in the process. The Cleaning Place is a social-based app that lets users that have been there and done that and learned from it share their knowledge in an easy-to-use way. So I'll show you how this works with Tony. Tony just got a new stainless steel pan and was all excited to cook with it. Unfortunately, Tony isn't the best cook, and now his pan looks a little bit something like this. So let's see if we can find something to help Tony with this situation. So we're going to log in. Go. And as you see now, the app welcomes it by saying hello, Tony. And we have my post that showed up. So let's go to the cleaning closet and see if there's a post that will help us clean our now burnt pan. So as you can see, there's a bunch of posts here. Instead of scrolling, we're actually gonna search. There we go. This looks good. Dishes burnt, exactly what we want. We'll click on this. And as you see reading this, it says use Barkeeper's Friend. I don't know what Barkeeper's Friend is, so if I scroll down, I can see recommended products. Barkeeper's Friends recommended products. And if we didn't know where to find this, we click this and it'll take us to a place to purchase this. If we continue scrolling down, say that it worked and we got our pan cleaned, there's some similar posts based on the same category as Signature Pan, so things that will be found in the kitchen. So we have dishwasher, peeling a cast iron skillet, so on and so forth. If you want to go by other categories, so over here in this menu, we have the other categories that you can find posts. We're going to look at Tony's post, so we're going to go over to my post. And as you can see, you can also create a new post as well as see the posts that have been already created by Tony. You can edit those or delete them. We're going to create a new post. And this is going to be about carpet stains. And we're going to have some tags. It's going to be carpet and stain. Category is going to be our living room. And then we're going to use vinegar to clean that. So the people that don't know can see that. We'll save that. Take us back to our posts. And if you scroll down, you should be able to see it right there. The one thing that I wanted to get to and didn't have any time was my collection, which basically allows users to favorite posts that they want to come back and see later, or just ones that they want to keep on hand. They can have a board. Yeah, that's my post, or that's my app. Any questions?
Thank you, Micah. Jay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, Micah, this is fantastic. It looks really clean and sweet. Am I wrong? I feel like this behind the scenes, there's a lot of complicated database stuff going on between categories and tags. Am I right that that's pretty involved?
Yeah, it seems like every feature that I built involved another table and associations with that table. So that was something that I was found interesting. It's like, oh, I just do this little thing, but instead of just a little thing, I have to build a table and then implement that table. So it got complicated.
And then you connect them all to each other. Yeah, that can definitely get complex. What was your favorite part about the process of building this app?
I think the most accomplished was the tags. Since it was the most complicated, it was a many-to-many association. So it was a little tricky getting that worked up. And then this is a, I think it's view multi to get the
look and feel of that.
Yeah,
that's very cool. Yeah, I saw, I guess this is another future feature. I saw there was some mention of votes where people could vote on it eventually.
Yes. So eventually you would have votes, and then the more votes, then the more validated that is. And then obviously more future things would be to have users follow other users. And then I want to do something as far as like a guru type thing. So the person that is well knowledgeable in cleaning stuff will have a points-based system where people can see like, oh, this is validated because a lot of people say that they have good information.
Yeah. Really, really nice job, Micah. This is so useful and really well implemented. Congrats.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Seth. And Seth, your panelist will be Mark.
All right. So just imagine you come home from a long day at work You sit down and you're ready to log into your web development bootcamp where your awesome instructor is going to teach you everything there is to know about code. Then you look up at the calendar and you remember you're about to have your first baby in 2 months. You start to freak out a little bit. What is a baby? What does a baby do? I think they eat things, they drink things, they sleep. And then somebody throws out the word milestone and you're like, all right, that's it. I can't do it. But yeah, so to alleviate that stress, you decide to make an app that acts as a reference and helps you track your child's developmental milestones. Welcome to Grow Baby Grow. I am going to show you a few things. Before we start, in case you don't know what a developmental milestone is, let's pop over to the CDC's recommended milestones for children. Apparently, developmental milestones are things your child is supposed to achieve by a certain age. So if you take a peek here, if your child begins to smile at people, which is expected by 2 months, that is considered a milestone. Let's scroll down to some that like maybe we don't know, aren't as obvious. Okay, here's one. Begins to follow things with eyes and recognize people. Well, what does that look like for a baby? Let's click on this and find out, which brings you to a little bit more information about that milestone. You saw its category on the previous page, falls under the cognitive part of development. But let's take a look at what this looks like. Cool. All right, I get it. Yep, they can look at something and follow it. Cool. All right, that's easy enough. So that stress is starting to go away. Let's head back over to all the milestones. You can see that there are a ton. Parents out there, don't freak out. It's okay. It's like 2 months at a time. We're good. But let's head back to the homepage. And let's hop into the shoes of you guys know Brian's having a baby? Brian's having a baby, so we need to make him an account. Let's hop over to the sign up page. We'll say his name is brice53. I don't know. I'm just a guess. I don't know. Brian at email.com is his email. Let's put in a password for him. And we'll go ahead and sign in with him as well. All right. And once we're logged in, we notice a new button here that says take me to my children. So let's go add that child that Brian's going to have. And well, here's all the kids he has. He doesn't have any yet, so let's add one. He's from this trendy place called Buffalo. So they're really into like unique baby names over there. And he decides to name his first baby Quinoa. Craziest thing. The baby is born on May 5th, 2021. And let's get a profile picture in there for his baby. And we're going to add the child to his account. Boom. Baby Quinoa is there. And baby Quinoa is doing all sorts of things right now. Development all over the place. And we want to track that, right? Brian wants to track that. So he's going to click on Quinoa's page. And here you can see Quinoa's picture is a little bit bigger in case you want a better look. Quinoa was born on May 5th, 2021. And we've got a few options here. It says click here to see your child's milestone summary. Coming soon, there'll be a growth log. I'll talk about that later. Or we can go back to his other children. But let's go and look and see Quinoa's milestones. Currently, Quinoa doesn't have any or hasn't achieved any. But Brian notices that Quinoa laughs at one of his jokes and smiled. So we're going to add that to Quinoa's milestones. It happened to be, let's say, 2 months after Quinoa was born. So all right, into the future here. But simply, we just have to add it. We're going to record that milestone for Quinoa. And it updates in real time. So pops up here and is no longer on the to-do list down here. Brian's a busy guy, teaches every day, a few classes. So he forgot to log a few other ones. So if Brian wanted to, he could come and select as many as he wants to. Quinoa, let's see, what else can Quinoa do? Oh, Quinoa can hold up their head now. I'm going to add a date for that one because that was a really special moment. And I'm going to head back up and add all 4 of those or 3 of those. And as you can see, Quinoa's just rocking it right now. Tons of milestones. Yeah, this is at its core. The purpose of this is to track milestones over like a timeline. But if Brian needed to add another child, say the future, there's another one, he could come back here and do that. But yeah, that is Grow Baby Grow. Right now, all of the data comes from the CDC. But yeah, Mark, I'll hand it over to you.
That's really, this is a great idea. I think you did pronounce the baby's name incorrectly though. I think it's Kanoa, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
No, man, I got 2 kids of my own, so this would have been helpful 4.5 years ago for me to start tracking my kids. This is definitely something that parents stress about a lot. So like the idea is super helpful to kind of just be able to see those timelines right there and be able to keep track of it. And you go to the pediatrician and they're like, oh, what is your baby doing this or that? And you're like, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, this is really cool. So you said the CDC gave you, they had an API that you were using?
I wish. I unfortunately, considering them being a federal organization, thought there would be a public data, either database or API to reference, but there wasn't. So I had to make the decision to scrape their website or not, and I ended up seeding it. It's about 400 milestones, I think.
Okay, wow.
On my own. Yeah.
And those, like you showed like the images that popped up. All those images came from that CDC website as well?
Yeah. So currently, it's an attribute on the milestones table. There are also YouTube video links. That's a nice to have that I want to add modals that can just render that YouTube video right away, but didn't quite get there.
Yeah, no, this is a really awesome start though. What's like the one part that was like the hardest?
So at one time I told Brian and Joey that I probably should have listened at the beginning when I was naming my models, to name them more clearly. A few other people have mentioned associations just being a nightmare, and there was some, digging for the data was tough. At some points it was like child.children.milestones.milestone. It was just, it was out of control. So associations on the back end were definitely a lesson learned.
Yeah. It's definitely hard to plan that when it's like the first time doing this big of a thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. What part are you like, were you most proud of? Was like the biggest challenge you like succeeded at?
I think being able to like I know I'm using associations again, but like literally everywhere I needed to keep that data with that child, with that parent, and then across multiple parents, like if I logged off and into mom's account, that child shows up for them too. So like keeping the data stuck to everything was tough.
Yeah,
but something I was proud of.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea, and definitely something that could be helpful for parents, especially new parents for the first kid. So yeah, congrats.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you, Seth, and thank you, Mark, for the correct pronunciation. Next up, we have Tom, and Tom's panelist will be Jay. Tom, you are on mute.
I know that I would do that. My name's Tom, and this is Recital. Similarly to Brad, who presented earlier, I am a long-running and very frequent concert goer. So much that Tom Conan is attending is a running joke among my friends, basically. But what I set out to do when creating Recital was to build a comprehensive search tool and social community for tracking both upcoming and past events and event-related content and media. So you'd be able to find upcoming tours, browse concert archives for show and set list information to revisit some of your favorite memories from live events, and share and stream new content relevant to your interests all in one place. Recital would allow users and fans to create their own events and connect with one another, providing an alternative to traditional and more broadly focused social media sites commonly plagued with bots, scalpers, scam artists, egregious data mining, and intolerant uncles. But let's get to the gig, shall we? So I'm gonna sign up. Oh, that's my name. Oh, Not that one. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, run the jewels. Like them. Let's see if they're coming to town. All right, what do we have here? Okay. Vancouver, that's kind of far. Minneapolis and at least they're touring the US. Hard to say, but maybe they'll be coming to my area. I have a trip to London coming up. Maybe some of my favorite artists are coming through there. I don't know that one. Not sure of that one either. All right, well, maybe I'll check closer to the trip. Geez, it sure would be nice to have these dates and cities show right on the tiles. So I don't have to click first, but maybe I'll give that feedback in this content form here. All right, well, I did just recently get some Guns N' Roses tickets. Let's see what they've been up to. Okay. Wow. Love that song. Great opener. Looks like I should plan on being there for a while, I guess. All right, a little shorter. Maybe Axel was running late that night. And that's about it for recital right now. Got a lot of other features I intend to implement and work on, but that's what we have.
Thank you, Dom. You can go ahead, Jay.
This is really great, Tom. And again, I can't wait to be able to go to these events again very soon. Tell me about what challenges did you face when working with this app?
The biggest thing was, I think, figuring out the APIs, both just making the calls to the API, the requests, and implementing that into my backend and rendering the data. So much that I had a lot of features, and I think that was the most eye-opening thing, was the expectations I had for myself and time management and what it would take to get that done. But there's, especially the setlist thing took me forever. The songs were very nested, deeply nested. And then just working with those APIs set me back so much that the design was very rushed. So obviously not exactly how I envisioned it appearing, but yeah, those were mostly the hard things that set me back.
So basically you have like a separate model for songs that is connected to the events. Is that how that works?
Yeah, the upcoming event search is making calls to the Songkick API, and the past event is tied to the Setlist FM API.
Oh, tell me more. Yeah, elaborate on these APIs. I didn't realize you were hitting these third-party APIs. Tell me more.
Yeah, well, the idea was, Setlist FM, I just noticed a lot of features that I really thought both of those sites should have. You can't view set lists, and I think on Songkick, and they have a lot of content that isn't usually relevant to my interest, and at the same time Setlist FM just focuses mostly on just the set list. So I kind of wanted to put that all together, and then I basically was fighting with making those calls and getting that data to populate for a lot of the time, but eventually it worked out. It just kind of lost the time to work on the other features and the design mostly.
No, but you did a great job with that. Working with a third-party API is really a hit or miss kind of thing. Some APIs are really not documented well or difficult to use? What was most challenging with the APIs particularly?
That was really, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, that was really it, is that the documentation was so sparse, and like the forums, there wasn't a lot of activity. Like Songkick was mostly just people complaining about not getting their API or waiting a week or two to get it. So it did take a while to get that. And there was a lot to be found. I mean, then I'd find a gem that looked pretty promising, and then that was also very difficult to understand and not very beginner friendly. So I'd get hung up on those things a little bit.
No, but that's a great story of perseverance of working with a API that's not documented well is extremely challenging. So kudos to you in being able to crack that. Yeah, this is really cool, and I can't wait to be able to use it soon. Great job, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Last up, maybe because his first name begins with a Y, is Yitzi. And your panelist will be Mark.
Okay, thank you all for sticking around so long. Welcome to my app. The app is called Cabinet Keeper, and like so many apps that we have seen tonight, comes to solve a problem. Problem is that you don't really know what you have in your cabinet. You go shopping, you find yourself in the supermarket, and you think to yourself, do I have any of that at home? I'm not sure. And then maybe you buy it, and then you realize you have it. Then you have to put it somewhere, and you don't really have that much room. So this app keeps track of what you have in your pantry at all times, also by keeping track of how you use those things in recipes. So we could begin by logging in. Well, logging is Adam at example.com. Password. Log in, it'll take us straight to the pantry items page. We see that in here, it tells us all of Adam's things that are in his pantry. This is the actual ingredient, and you see that these are the measurements. Take a note this number. When the app does its thing, this number will change. So that's cool. You can remove any of the items. You can add a new item to your pantry. So kind of into this right now. I guess we'll add some quinoa. We're gonna say that quinoa, the package is probably around 400 milliliters. We'll add it, and it'll take us right back to the page. We scroll down to the bottom, and we see that here the quinoa was added. Just to take note, there's 12 eggs here. There was this much flour. We'll go down to the bottom here, and we could see our saved recipes. So Adam has a few recipes that are already saved in here. We go into one. Who doesn't like chocolate chip cookies? Go in here, we see more information here. We see all the ingredients that are used for this, as well as all the measurements. So it's this measurement here that is going to get subtracted from the measurement that you have in your pantry when this app does its thing. So go down here, we see directions. You see that you can include a bunch of images. Any of these images and directions can be unlimited. So this is the magical button. Click this, it takes you back to the items in your pantry, and you see that if you find the all-purpose flour here, that was the first ingredient used in that recipe. You see that that number has successfully changed. If we pass the eggs already, we could just check that too once we're at it. We started out with 12, now we have 11. So he already has some recipes saved in. What he can also do is manually add a new recipe. Why doesn't he add some crispy treats? Good. Don't really feel like filling all this out. When you click this, some more things show up. You could include as many directions as you want, as many ingredients as you want. Just put in an image though. Images are cool. You can add that, and once you do that, you can add the recipe. Takes you back to the page, and you see that that recipe has been included. Go into it. You see that we left all of that blank, and you can make the recipe. So I realized after this part of the app was done, that it's kind of annoying for a user to put like all that information in. I decided to try to include a different way of adding recipes to get included in your profile. So this is using the Spoonacular API. I guess we went pretty unhealthy. I guess let's go healthier here. Search for some salad. It searches the API and it comes back with all of these results. Time constraints did not allow this add button functionality to see the light of day. It just says add. It doesn't actually do that yet. But thank you for watching. This is Cabinet Keeper.
Thank you, Yitzi. You can go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, this is an awesome idea. Definitely useful to be able to, keep track of what's going on in your kitchen. And yeah, so tell me, did you work? Was this all any third party APIs, or was this all just like local databases?
No, this is all local databases. This page here was using an API, but the rest was all manually made.
Cool. How is it working with this API?
Not bad. Once I figured out how to get all the information out, how to like set it up, how to save it properly. So how to make these, which information I did more than this, but I'm not showing more than this. Once I figured that out, it was not bad work with this API.
Yeah, like Jay just said, they can be hit and miss. Sometimes they're a pain, and sometimes they're a little easier. Nice. So then the front end, your ingredients list, like what you have in your pantry, that was just you just kind of do the calculation as you go, straight from the recipe, I guess.
So yeah, so when you hit that button on the bottom of that recipe, it will subtract each ingredient that is used in that recipe, whatever measurement that is, from what you have saved.
Cool. Yeah, I like some of the design features with like the kind of the I don't know what you call it, the opaque image, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a cool design you have too. What part was like were you most proud of?
I was really proud when even when just the back, I didn't have any front end, and like just when the back end worked, like I hit it, and then like I went to Post2Go, which is the program, for those that don't know, is the program that just displays what data is in your database. It's like really not user friendly, considerably. And like I went there and I like saw everything updated, and I actually went like with a calculator and just like made sure it all worked. I was like, wow. I like showed my wife. She's like, how could you look at this? I was like, hey, it works.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good feeling. And your wife probably wasn't as excited as you were, but you were very excited, and I get it for sure. What was like the most challenging part?
Most challenging part was definitely having a user create a recipe. So like Brian said many times, everything is CRUD. I figured, okay, so I know CRUD, so like how hard could it be to have a user create something, right? But like he has to make an unlimited amount of a few things. Like you have to take that information, no matter how long it is, and that means you're making loops in your controller, and also the amounts are also on a different table. So it's hard to nail that. But
nice. You got it. Congrats. Cool. Nice app.
Thanks.
Congrats.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to all of the students for working really hard over the last 12 weeks, working hard on these apps, making them. It's all been great. Thank you to the panelists, Jay and Janice and Mark. Thank you to Lisa for career advising everyone during this whole process. And thanks to the TAs, Joey and Alex. And I probably missed someone, and I apologize. But that is it for us.